In a world intoxicated by noise, where every man is urged to speak, to post, to proclaim his every fleeting thought, there is a forgotten force that slices sharper than the loudest voice. Silence. The weak fear it, the impatient despise it, the foolish fill its void with endless chatter. Yet the wise know it as their greatest weapon. Today, words are currency, cheap, inflated, spent recklessly to signal virtue, demand attention, and chase fleeting relevance. But silence remains rare, precious, misunderstood. When wielded with intent, it becomes a force not of passivity, but of unmatched power. Observe the common man. He races to fill the emptiness. In conversations, in meetings, even in moments of solitude, he speaks, nervous, desperate to be seen, to be heard, to exist. Yet in doing so, he exposes himself. His weaknesses, his fears, his ambitions laid bare before adversaries sharper than he. It is not the lion that roars constantly that rules the wild, but the one who roars sparingly. When the time to strike arrives, those who understand silence do not fear being overlooked. They do not rush to explain, to defend, to convince. They understand that words once spoken can never be unsaid. Silence preserves options. It conceals intent. It disorients foes. Consider the strategist in a negotiation. The undisciplined party speaks first, revealing desires, limits, and fears. The one who holds silence forces the other to dance alone in uncertainty. Each passing second without a response tightens the noose of self-disclosure. They begin to wonder, did I say too much? Am I being judged? In that void, power shifts. This is not accidental. It is deliberate warfare, without a blade drawn. The masses worship transparency today. They equate openness with honesty, as if virtue lies only in revelation. Yet, as Machiavelli once noted, men judge more by appearances than by reality. To reveal everything is to become ordinary. To explain all is to surrender the advantage of ambiguity. Silence keeps others guessing. Guessing breeds caution. Caution gives birth to respect. Speak constantly and you dissolve into the common. Stay silent and you ascend into the unknown, where myths and fears flourish. Even leaders, those expected to communicate, find strength in silence. The ruler who speaks on every trivial matter diminishes his aura. He becomes familiar, predictable, and easy to challenge. But the ruler who chooses words, as a sculptor chooses marble, commands with gravity. Each sentence carries weight, because speech has become rare. This rarity elevates him. His silence makes others fill the void with interpretation, speculation, and, most dangerously, their own insecurities. A king who whispers shakes more thrones than a fool who shouts. There is a reason the fox survives in the presence of the lion, not through strength, through cunning. Machiavelli taught us to imitate the fox, to remain hidden when needed, to speak only when gain is assured. Silence is the fox's cloak. It allows him to observe traps, to study hunters, to anticipate without revealing. In war, a general who boasts of his tactics invites counters. In life, a man who declares his ambitions invites sabotage. Silence denies enemies a target. It makes the path unpredictable, the mind unreadable. Silence does not mean absence. It means control, the deliberate refusal to engage on another's terms. When insulted, the fool retaliates with words, exposing his agitation. The wise man lets silence condemn the attacker, who soon looks desperate for reaction. When pressured for answers, the hasty comply, desperate to ease tension. But the patient endure, watching others unravel as the discomfort swells. The more others speak, the more you learn. The less you speak, the more they reveal. It is simple, In silence, the world becomes transparent, except for you. Power, in its purest form, belongs not to those who speak most, but to those who make others speak first. Strategic silence transforms conversations into confessions. It forces impatience to reveal itself. Men hate uncertainty. They rush to fill gaps with words, thoughts, and intentions, and each word offered carelessly becomes a thread to pull, a weakness to exploit. Understand this: silence is not passive, it is predatory. In meetings, in negotiations, in confrontations, silence draws out the truth. You learn desires, limits, insecurities, all without revealing your own. The less you give, the more they offer. The balance of power tilts quietly, invisibly, toward you. Machiavelli understood that authority and mystique walk hand in hand. To lead is not merely to decide, it is to be perceived as beyond reach, above petty disputes. Those who explain themselves constantly expose their logic, their flaws, and their doubts. Leaders who speak sparingly project strength. Their rare words strike deeper because they do not compete with noise. People lean in, they wonder, they speculate. Silence breeds curiosity, and curiosity breeds reverence. Think of the monarch who addresses the kingdom only on grave matters. Venus. This truth extends beyond rulers. In personal dynamics, silence is equally potent. The friend who shares everything becomes familiar, predictable, but the one who holds back, who speaks with care, remains intriguing. We respect those who guard their words, who resist the urge to expose their souls in every interaction. They are perceived as disciplined, self-reliant, difficult to read. And difficulty attracts attention. The world chases mystery, not openness. In relationships, as in politics, the unspoken often carries more weight than declarations. Silence also protects. In conflict, every word is a potential weapon against yourself. Speak in anger, and you offer ammunition. Speak in desperation, and you concede leverage. But the man who meets hostility with calm silence denies the aggressor satisfaction. Frustration grows. The attacker exposes more, grasping for reaction. In time, they weaken. Machiavelli knew this well. He understood that the opponent who acts without knowing your position is always at a disadvantage. Silence shields. It obscures your plans. It lets storms pass while you remain untouched, unprovoked, unbroken. Even among equals, silence establishes hierarchy. In any room, those who control the flow of conversation control perception. The talkative seek validation. The reserved hold court. Why? Because restraint signals confidence. He who does not need to speak loudly or often appears self-assured. Others notice, they defer. The one who can endure silence forces others to bridge the gap, to chase approval, to seek connection. And in seeking, they submit. Subtle domination is still domination. Yet silence is not a blunt tool. It requires precision. There are moments when speech advances objectives more efficiently. To remain silent at all times is not wisdom. It is cowardice in disguise. Machiavelli taught flexibility. Be the fox, not the statue. Use silence selectively, strategically. Know when to hold your tongue, when to pause, and when to unleash decisive words. The most dangerous men speak rarely, but when they do, their words cannot be ignored. Silence sharpens speech. Words spoken after long quiet land, like hammer blows. This is the art of calculated absence, of saying little but being heard. In a culture obsessed with immediacy, you must become timeless. Speak when necessary, fall silent when gain lies in restraint. Let others reveal themselves while you remain composed. Let them rush, stumble, overexpose. You will observe, collect, prepare. Silence is patience. Patience is preparation. Preparation is power. And power, once silent, can become absolute. Mastering silence is mastering anticipation. When you do not fill the air with your thoughts, you create space. Space others cannot resist entering. This is not weakness, it is invitation by design. Each pause you hold forces others to reveal their desires, insecurities, and agendas. They speak to ease their discomfort, to chase validation, to affirm their positions. You watch, you gather, you prepare. Every confession they offer, willingly, becomes a weapon in your future arsenal. Silence makes them predictable. Predictability makes them vulnerable. This is the silent chess of influence. Silence also signals independence. The man who does not rush to speak belongs to no one. He does not seek agreement. He does not beg for validation. He stands apart. This separation is unsettling to others. Most people crave connection through words. When you deny them that, they become curious or anxious. They wonder about your intentions. They wonder about your judgment. Curiosity becomes fascination. Anxiety becomes respect. The silent man is not just seen, he is studied. And to be studied is to control the frame. Machiavelli knew that influence is not merely about force, it is about making others react to you, not the other way around. But perhaps the most overlooked power of silence is its ability to reset. In moments of failure, insult, or defeat, words often betray desperation. Those who rush to explain appear weak. Those who stay silent, however, deny their enemies satisfaction. They leave space for narratives to die naturally. Silence creates ambiguity. Ambiguity erodes attacks. Over time, what is not reinforced fades. When you do not participate in your own humiliation, you rise above it. The silent man lets slander exhaust itself. He waits, untouched, as those obsessed with speaking bury themselves in their own noise. Leadership thrives on this principle. Those who constantly seek to explain and justify lose stature. Their very eagerness to be understood diminishes their command. The great leaders, those who shape history, choose their words like currency in a collapsing market. Rare, valuable. When they speak, nations listen. Not because their voices are loud, but because they are heard so rarely. Silence in this context is not emptiness. It is authority made audible through restraint. The leader who does not respond to every provocation towers above them all. To remain unmoved is the ultimate show of strength. Still, to master silence is not to reject words entirely. Silence gives words their sharpest edge. Without silence, speech is clutter. When you finally choose to speak after long quiet, your words are magnified. Every listener leans forward. Anticipation fills the void you created. The impact of your message is multiplied not because of volume or eloquence, but because you withheld it until the precise moment. This is why silence is inseparable from power, not as its absence, but as its amplifier. Silence also disciplines the mind. Those who speak constantly must improvise, often betraying ignorance. Those who hold silence think first, speak second. This pattern sharpens clarity. Machiavelli understood that a ruler who reacts emotionally or impulsively becomes easy to predict and control. Restraint, on the other hand, conceals intent. Silence buys time. Time sharpens strategy. Strategy wins wars. The man who waits sees paths invisible to the man who rushes. To move wisely, you must first learn to be still. In war, politics, business, and life, silence serves universally. The negotiator uses it to unnerve. The competitor uses it to conceal. The ruler uses it to inspire awe, and the individual in daily affairs uses it to preserve dignity and strength. To embrace silence is to embrace discipline. It is to reject the urge to fill every moment, to resist the weakness of compulsive expression. When silence becomes your habit, power follows quietly, inevitably. Silence, at its highest form, becomes more than strategy. It becomes identity. When a man fully embraces silence, he ceases to compete in the frantic theater of noise. He is no longer caught in the games of immediate reaction, public opinion, or endless justification. He becomes untouchable. Why? Because his power is not derived from the approval of others. It is self-contained. A man who does not need to speak cannot be cornered, he cannot be baited. He cannot be easily read or easily swayed. He lives above impulse and beyond reach. This is the realm of true influence, where presence speaks louder than proclamations. Observe how quickly the world turns on those who expose too much. The confessional culture demands vulnerability, yet punishes it swiftly. Today's hero becomes tomorrow's spectacle. But the silent man never becomes part of that cycle. He offers no scandal, no slip of the tongue, no regrettable opinion to be weaponized against him. In his restraint, he becomes permanent. He survives trends, outlasts rivals, and transcends petty feuds. This is why kings spoke rarely and why generals kept plans hidden until the moment of attack. History remembers those who let actions, not words, define their legacy. In times of crisis, silence becomes even more decisive. The weak panic and fill the air with fear. The mediocre offer excuses, defenses, and noise. But the composed leader stands still. His silence projects stability. While others crumble under uncertainty, he remains firm, inviting followers to gather under his calm shadow. It is not charisma alone that commands allegiance. It is the ability to remain unmoved when all others tremble. Silence does this. It makes you the anchor in a storm of chaos. Even socially, silence draws power. The man who controls conversation through absence forces others to lean toward him. They seek his input. They await his approval. They wonder what he is thinking. This wondering grants power. When they guess, they reveal themselves. When they wait, they submit. Meanwhile, the silent man loses nothing. He listens, calculates, and decides if and when he will speak. Every word he finally offers lands like a decree, not a suggestion. He does not participate in idle talk. He shapes only key moments. But let this be clear. Silence must never be mistaken for timidity. To be quiet out of fear is weakness. To be quiet by choice is strength. The difference is control. The man who masters silence does so deliberately. He does not shrink from confrontation. He chooses the battlefield. He does not fear exposure. He decides what remains concealed. True silence is active, not passive. It is tactical, not accidental. It is the weapon of those who dictate terms, not those who accept them. In relationships, silence is equally commanding. The partner who always speaks gives the other power through knowledge. Desires, limits, frustrations, all exposed. The silent partner retains mystery, not maliciously but wisely. By speaking only when necessary, they hold space that draws others in. The same applies to rivals. Those who overshare become readable and therefore defeatable. Those who do not are approached cautiously, often with respect or fear. Ambiguity is not deception, it is protection, and protection is power. Machiavelli understood that words are commitments. Once spoken, they tether you to positions that may later become cages. Silence, by contrast, is freedom. Freedom to pivot, to observe, to act at the right moment without the burden of past declarations. He who speaks binds himself to promises. He who stays silent remains fluid, unpredictable. In power dynamics, this flexibility is priceless. The rigid fall. The adaptable endure. Silence ensures you remain adaptable. To master silence is to master tension. To sit in quiet while others squirm is unnatural for most. People abhor gaps in conversation. They rush to fill them, to ease discomfort. The man who is at peace in silence radiates a different energy. He signals without words that he is not desperate for connection, validation, or affirmation. This creates gravitational pull. People respect those who do not chase them. They pursue what is rare, not what is readily offered. Silence, once fully embraced, reshapes how the world engages with you. No longer are you part of the frantic chorus begging to be noticed. You become the exception. In meetings, you are the one whose words carry weight because they are rare. In disputes, you are the one whose refusal to argue breeds uncertainty. In opportunities, you are the one whose quiet confidence speaks louder than frantic ambition. People will not always understand this. They may call you cold. They may call you distant. Let them. Their discomfort is proof that silence unsettles. It is proof that silence forces others to confront themselves, not you. Understand this well. Silence is not merely about withholding speech. It is about understanding timing. When you choose to speak after restraint, your words become decisive instruments. They slice through the noise. They settle debates. They shift momentum. This is why the disciplined man does not waste his voice on trivialities. He reserves his contribution for moments of maximum impact. In this way, silence serves speech. It gives words consequence. To speak constantly is to dull your edge. To speak rarely is to ensure that when you do, you command attention effortlessly. In every arena, negotiation, leadership, relationships, personal battles, this discipline separates the powerful from the powerless. The man who governs his tongue governs his fate. Loose speech is currency spent recklessly. Strategic silence is wealth preserved and multiplied. Those who leak information betray their future selves. Those who guard it invest in control. Silence is control, and control, as Machiavelli would insist, is essential to rule. Observe the games of power and influence closely, and you will see the silent dominate in ways the loud cannot. The courtroom, where the quiet lawyer unsettles the opposing side simply by not objecting prematurely. The boardroom, where the restrained executive lets competitors speak themselves into weakness. The battlefield, where the unseen general wins not through boasting, but by waiting for the perfect strike. In each, silence is not avoidance. It is positioning. It is the art of letting others reveal themselves first, so that your strike is not wasted, but fatal. Yet, the most profound power of silence lies in how it shapes the self. To stay silent outwardly, you must become still inwardly. You must master emotion, overcome impulse, and subordinate the ego that desires recognition. This internal mastery radiates outward. People sense composure. They sense when a man is not rattled, not needy, not eager to impress. This unnerves the unbalanced. It attracts the capable. In silence, you become magnetized, drawing in alliances and repelling weakness without lifting a finger. But understand, silence must be authentic. If it is used merely as a trick, without true discipline behind it, it will collapse. Forced silence appears awkward and insecure. True silence, born of comfort and strength, is seamless. You are not silent because you fear judgment. You are silent because you do not require validation. You are silent because you are lost. You are silent because your mind is ordered, precise, and focused on outcomes rather than appearances. As the world accelerates into madness, with every voice clamoring louder for fleeting relevance, your refusal to join becomes its own statement. Silence becomes rebellion. In a time where everyone explains, you say nothing. In a time where everyone performs, you remain still. In a time where everyone seeks attention, you disappear from their games. and by doing so, you rise. You become untouchable, not through violence, not through arrogance, but through refusal. Refusal to be common, refusal to be predictable, refusal to be weak. Those who master this art do not need to declare victory. Their existence becomes victory itself. Machiavelli knew this. He knew that power, once seized, did not need endless justification. It needed maintenance. It needed discretion, and above all, it needed the wisdom to remain silent until the moment came when words would serve power, not diminish it. Say less, watch more, speak rarely, win always. Silence, once mastered, becomes effortless. You no longer calculate when to hold your tongue. It is simply who you are. The world moves frantically around you, desperate to be seen, desperate to be heard, desperate to matter. You observe unbothered. You measure. You wait. This is the final form of power, not in dominance through volume, but in superiority through stillness. When others compete for recognition, you remove yourself from the race entirely. You make them come to you. They will. They always do. The loud tire themselves out. The quiet reserve themselves for victory. To live in silence is to accept separation. The silent man does not belong to the crowd. He is neither its entertainer nor its servant. He is above it, but never loudly so. His authority is not announced, it is understood. His words are not sold cheaply to every passing ear. They are earned through patience, through presence, through weight. When he finally speaks, the room listens, not because they are forced, but because silence has made his voice rare, and what is rare is always valued. Understand that silence does not beg. It does not plead for understanding. It does not chase after clarity. Those who live loudly often explain themselves into weakness. They think persuasion comes from endless words, from defending every action, from clarifying every motive. But the wise know that clarity is a gift, not a right. You give it when it serves you. You withhold it when it does not. Silence is your gatekeeper. It denies access to those unworthy. It keeps fools guessing and allies respectful. In this age, where every platform urges you to express, confess, and disclose, the silent man becomes dangerous. He cannot be profiled. He cannot be predicted. He cannot be easily targeted or manipulated. Transparency enslaves the careless. Silence liberates the disciplined. Every word not spoken is leverage retained. When you embrace this, you no longer fear being misunderstood. You welcome it. Let them speculate. Let them wonder. Let them fill the gaps with their own projections. Your silence ensures you hold the only truth that matters. Even in confrontation, silence reigns supreme. The one who controls his words controls the tempo. Heated arguments belong to the weak. Desperate rebuttals belong to the insecure. The silent man refuses entry into such low arenas. His stillness agitates his enemies. They swing wildly, hoping to provoke, hoping to break composure. But the silent man is unbreakable. Each moment he withholds response. He suffocates their momentum. They tire. They expose themselves. They collapse, defeated by their own lack of restraint. In relationships, silence is the final test of power. Those who carelessly give all of themselves away are discarded easily. Familiarity breeds contempt. Predictability kills desire. But the one who remains partially hidden, who speaks less than he knows and reveals less than he feels, retains allure. Mystery is magnetic. Silence preserves mystery. It ensures you are not consumed, but endlessly considered. Those who leave space to be pursued are always chased. The silent man understands this. He gives just enough, never too much. He is present, yet distant, available, yet untouchable. Ultimately, silence is sovereignty. It is the refusal to be moved by external forces. To be silent is to declare, without words, that you are ruled by no one, not by trends, not by opinions, not by enemies, and not even by allies. You move when it serves you. You speak when it strengthens you. You react only when reaction brings gain. All else is beneath you. This is not arrogance, it is discipline. 'Tis detachment. It is the art of remaining still while others drown in motion. Machiavelli understood that power was not merely taken, it was preserved. Words reveal, silence conceals. In concealment lies control. The vulgar seek comfort in knowing, the wise seek power in not being known. As the final truth, let this remain with you. In every room, every conflict, every opportunity, he who speaks less watches more and reveals nothing until necessary wins. Silence does not beg for victory, it becomes victory.